We've divided Natalie's savings account fairly among the three siblings. Mom's voice rang out across Dad's 70th birthday party, and I looked up from the gift table to see her holding what appeared to be a printed spreadsheet with color-coded columns. 40 guests had gathered in the private room at Maggiano's, red balloons bobbing against the ceiling, when my mother decided this was the perfect moment to redistribute my wealth. I was adjusting Dad's birthday banner when I realized she wasn't announcing a toast. She was announcing a financial coup. The spreadsheet had my name at the top and 3 columns beneath it labeled Natalie, Marcus, and Jade. What savings account were they even talking about? The emergency fund they didn't know had $400,000 in it, or the brokerage accounts worth $8.3 million. Patricia and I have been concerned about fairness for some time, Mom continued, gesturing to my aunt who stood beside her, nodding vigorously. Natalie is 34, single, no children. She doesn't need as much as her siblings who have families to support. This is about equitable distribution. My brother Marcus grinned from his seat near the dessert table, his wife Ashley already pulling out her phone to take notes. My younger sister Jade looked uncomfortable, but didn't protest. She never did when money was involved. I checked my watch. 2:47 p.m. Catherine would be arriving in 13 minutes. We've calculated that Natalie has approximately $200,000 in savings, Mom said, pulling out another sheet. That's based on her salary, her years of working, and what we assume she's saved. So we're dividing it this way. $70,000 to Marcus for his daughter's college funds, $70,000 to Jade for her new house down payment, and $60,000 stays with Natalie. She keeps the most because she earned it, but the family shares the excess. The excess. My money that exceeded what they thought I needed was apparently excess. Dad was cutting into his birthday cake, seemingly oblivious to the hostile takeover of my finances happening 6 feet away. Uncle Robert was refilling champagne glasses. Cousins were chasing kids around the room. Normal birthday chaos, except for the financial redistribution announcement. Natalie? Mom's voice had that edge it got when she expected immediate compliance. Did you hear? You'll need to set up the transfers by next week. Marcus needs his portion by the 15th for tuition deposits. I set down the roll of tape I'd been using on gift wrap. What account are you planning to transfer from? Your savings account. Wells Fargo, isn't it? Where you've been depositing your paychecks for years. My checking account is at Wells Fargo. My savings account closed in 2019 when I moved everything to a different financial institution. Marcus leaned forward. Wherever it is, just transfer it. Mom's right. Ashley and I have real expenses. You're just sitting on money you don't need. Just sitting on money. Like I'd stuffed cash under my mattress instead of spending 12 years building a sophisticated investment portfolio. I'm curious about the math, I said calmly, walking toward Mom's spreadsheet. How did you calculate $200,000? Well, you've worked for what, 10 years? Making roughly $60,000 a year, we estimated. 12 years, and my last W-2 showed $340,000, but continue. Mom's expression flickered. That must be wrong. You're a data analyst. I'm a quantitative analyst at Bridgewater Capital. But you're right. Let's use your numbers. Even if I made $60,000 for 10 years, that's $600,000 in gross income, not $200,000 in savings. Your spreadsheet is off by about... I pulled out my phone, opened the calculator. A few $1 million, actually. Aunt Patricia laughed nervously. Natalie, don't be dramatic. Your mother is trying to help the family. By redistributing assets she doesn't control and hasn't verified exist? I checked my phone again. 2:51 p.m. Should we wait for my financial advisor? She's arriving shortly. She can clarify the actual numbers. Your financial advisor? Jade spoke up for the first time. Since when do you have a financial advisor? Since 2018, when my portfolio reached the threshold where professional management made sense. Marcus stood up. What portfolio? You're talking like you're some kind of investor. You live in a studio apartment and drive a 12-year-old Subaru. A paid-off studio apartment in a building I own 30% of through a real estate investment trust. And yes, a 12-year-old Subaru with 140,000 miles that runs perfectly fine. I paused. Living below my means was kind of the whole point. The private room had gone quiet except for Dad's TV playing a football game in the corner. He'd tuned out the conversation entirely, probably deliberately. Mom's face had gone tight. If you have more money than we thought, that actually proves my point. You should be helping your siblings. I am helping my siblings. Marcus, how much was your kitchen renovation last year? He looked confused. 42,000. Why? And where did you tell Ashley that money came from? His face paled slightly. A work bonus. It came from me. I wired you $42,000 in March 2023 when you called saying you'd overextended on the renovation and the contractor was threatening to stop work. I turned to Jade. And Jade, your car down payment in 2022? She looked at her shoes. You said it was a gift. It was. $15,000. A gift. Not a loan, not an investment. A gift. We didn't know about the kitchen, Mom said weakly. Because Marcus asked me not to tell anyone. He wanted people to think the work bonus story. I kept his secret because that's what you do for family. The door to the private room opened, and a woman in a sharp gray suit walked in, carrying a leather portfolio. Catherine Chen from Goldman Sachs, right on time. I'm sorry to interrupt, Catherine said, glancing around the room with professional politeness. I'm looking for Natalie Morrison. We have a 3 o'clock portfolio review. Perfect timing, I said. Catherine, this is my family. We're having a discussion about my finances. Would you mind clarifying a few details? Catherine's expression remained neutral, but I saw the slight tightening around her eyes. She'd walked into a situation. I'm not sure this is the appropriate venue. It's fine. Catherine looked at me, then at Mom's spreadsheet still displayed on the table, then back at me. Mrs. Morrison, I'm Catherine Chen, Senior Financial Advisor with Goldman Sachs Private Wealth Management. I've been working with Natalie since 2018. Goldman Sachs, Dad repeated, suddenly paying attention. Yes, sir. We manage portfolios for high net worth individuals, typically those with investable assets exceeding $5 million. The room had gone completely silent now. Someone's child had stopped crying. The football game seemed muted. Natalie's portfolio is currently valued at approximately $8.3 million. Catherine continued professionally. That's across multiple asset classes: equities, bonds, real estate investment trusts, private equity positions, and alternative investments. We're scheduled to review her Q4 performance and discuss rebalancing strategies for the upcoming tax year. Mom sat down heavily in the nearest chair. $8 million? Marcus's voice cracked slightly. That's not possible. She's a data analyst. I'm a quantitative analyst specializing in algorithmic trading strategies, I corrected. I've been with Bridgewater for 12 years. I started at $95,000 annually. My current base salary is $340,000, plus performance bonuses that typically run another $200,000 to $400,000 depending on fund performance. Catherine pulled out her tablet. Natalie's portfolio has grown through a combination of aggressive savings. She's consistently invested 70 to 80% of her income, strategic asset allocation, and significant gains from early cryptocurrency investments made between 2015 and 2017. Crypto? Uncle Robert perked up. You got in early on Bitcoin? Bitcoin, Ethereum, and 3 smaller coins that performed exceptionally well. I cashed out most positions in 2021 near the peak, which provided substantial capital for diversification into traditional equities and REITs. How substantial? Aunt Patricia asked. Catherine glanced at me. I nodded. Her cryptocurrency positions at peak were valued at approximately $3.2 million. She realized gains of $2.8 million after tax when she sold. Those funds were reinvested according to a long-term growth strategy we developed together. Jade had tears in her eyes. You have $8 million, and you let me stress about my mortgage payment? Your mortgage is $2,400 a month on a house you chose to buy, I said quietly. A house that was above your budget, in a neighborhood you couldn't afford because you wanted to keep up with your friends from college. I gave you $15,000 for the down payment. I didn't give you permission to overspend and then resent me for not fixing it. But you could have what? Bought you a house? Paid your mortgage forever? At what point does helping become enabling? Marcus found his voice. You paid for my kitchen and never said anything. How is that different? Your kitchen was a one-time emergency. You'd signed a contract, started demolition, and the contractor wouldn't finish unless you paid. You needed help fixing a problem, not funding a lifestyle. I looked at him directly. But also, Marcus, you never paid me back even though you said you would. You never even brought it up again after I wired the money. It just became money you were entitled to. His face flushed red. Mom was staring at Catherine's tablet like it might suddenly show different numbers. I don't understand. How did we not know about this? Because I didn't tell you. Because every time I've made a financial decision, you've had an opinion about what I should do with my money. When I bought my studio, you said I should have bought a house in the suburbs near Jade. When I paid off my car, you said I should have upgraded. When I took a vacation to Japan, you said I was being frivolous. We were trying to help, Mom protested. You were trying to control. There's a difference. I gestured to the spreadsheet. This isn't helping. This is you deciding that because I'm single and childless, my money is excess that should be redistributed. That my financial success is a family resource to be managed by committee. Catherine cleared her throat diplomatically. Mrs. Morrison, I should clarify that Natalie's assets are held in her individual accounts. There are no joint holdings, no family trusts, no co-signers. Any distribution would require Natalie's explicit authorization, and given her long-term financial planning, I would professionally advise against liquidating positions to fund family requests. I'm not liquidating anything, I said firmly. Marcus Jade, I've helped you when you had legitimate emergencies. I'll probably help you again in the future. But I'm not an ATM. I'm not a family bank. I'm your sister who worked 80-hour weeks for years, who lived in a 400-square-foot studio while making six figures, who invested instead of spending, and who built wealth through discipline and strategy. This is unbelievable, Aunt Patricia said. You're going to keep millions while your family struggles? My family doesn't struggle. Marcus makes $120,000 as a project manager. Jade makes $85,000 as a school administrator. Mom and Dad have their pensions and Social Security. Nobody here is struggling. You're all living exactly at your means, and you're upset that I chose to live below mine. Catherine's phone buzzed. Natalie, I'm sorry, but we should start our actual meeting. I have another appointment at 4:30. Of course. I grabbed my bag. We can use the conference room down the hall. Wait, Dad said, speaking up for the first time. You're just leaving? It's my birthday. We sang happy birthday, you opened presents, and we had cake. The party was lovely until Mom decided to redistribute my investment portfolio without asking me. I softened slightly. I'm not mad at you, Dad, but I do have a scheduled business meeting with my financial advisor. We've been planning this for 3 weeks. Is everything really worth $8 million? He asked quietly. As of market close yesterday, $8,147,000. But that fluctuates daily. He nodded slowly, processing. I never knew you were this successful. I know. I didn't advertise it because this, I gestured at the chaos in the room, is what happens when people know. Suddenly, my success becomes everyone's business. My choices become subject to family vote. My money becomes community property. Marcus stood up abruptly. This is messed up. We're your family. And I've helped my family. Multiple times. Quietly. Without making spreadsheets or demanding gratitude. But I'm done being treated like a resource. I looked at Mom. I'm especially done with surprise announcements about how you are dividing up money that isn't yours. I followed Catherine out of the private room, leaving behind the stunned silence, and Mom's abandoned spreadsheet with its color-coded columns, showing how she'd planned to distribute money she'd never had access to. In the conference room down the hall, Catherine set up her laptop and pulled up my actual portfolio. The real numbers, the diversified holdings, the careful strategy we'd built together over 6 years. "That was intense," she said carefully. "That was inevitable. I've been dreading something like this for years. For what it's worth, you handled it well. Clear boundaries, factual statements, no emotional outbursts." "Thanks." I looked at the portfolio screen. "So, Q4 performance?" "Strong. Your tech positions are up 18%. Your REITs are performing above expectations, and your bond ladder is providing exactly the stability we projected. You're on track to cross 9 million by mid-2025 if current trends continue." 9 million. Built from nothing. Every dollar earned, invested, grown through patience and discipline. My phone buzzed continuously. Texts from Jade, Marcus, Aunt Patricia, cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. I silenced it and focused on Catherine's presentation. We discussed rebalancing strategies, tax loss harvesting opportunities, and potential positions for the new year. Professional conversation about my money with someone who understood it was mine to manage. The meeting ended at 4:15. Catherine packed up her materials. "Same time next quarter?" "Perfect. And Catherine? Thank you for being professional about the ambush." "That's what you pay me for." "Well, that and the 17 basis points of annual returns above benchmark." She smiled slightly. "Call me if you need anything. Family money situations can get complicated." I drove home to my 400-square-foot studio in my 12-year-old Subaru, walking past the lobby where I owned 30% of the building through a ret, climbing stairs to my minimalist space with its view of nothing special. The texts continued, Mom apologizing but also defending, Marcus angry, Jade hurt, Aunt Patricia saying I'd embarrassed the family. I responded to exactly one text, from Dad. "Happy 70th birthday. I'm sorry your party got derailed. Let's have lunch next week, just us." His response came 10 minutes later. "I'd like that. And Natalie? I'm proud of you. I should have said that years ago." 3 weeks later, Marcus called. "The kitchen money. You're right. I should have paid you back. I'm setting up monthly payments, $700 for 60 months. It'll take 5 years, but I'll clear the debt." "You don't have to do that," I said. "Yeah, I do. If we're going to be family without you being the family bank, I need to pay my debts." It was the most mature thing I'd ever heard him say. Jade took longer. 2 months before she called crying, admitting she'd overextended on the house, that she'd been living beyond her means, that she needed to learn to budget properly. I sent her the name of a financial planner, not Catherine, someone who worked with clients building wealth, not managing it. Mom and I had dinner 3 months after Dad's birthday. She apologized without defending this time. Really apologized. "I didn't understand what you'd built," she said. "I saw you living small and thought you were struggling, not strategic." Most people do. "Can you teach me? About investing, saving, building wealth the way you did?" I taught her. Started with the basics, moved into strategy, showed her how compound interest worked, how discipline created wealth. She started investing 15% of Dad's pension. Small steps. Last month, my portfolio crossed $9 million. Catherine called it exceptional growth in a volatile market. I call it validation. The color-coded spreadsheet from Dad's birthday party became family legend. The day Mom tried to redistribute money that didn't exist and discovered her daughter was a millionaire. Some families would have torn apart. Ours reformed slowly, with better boundaries and harder truths, and I kept every dollar, every investment, every carefully built position, because $8 million isn't family excess. It's 12 years of discipline, strategy, and choosing to live below my means while everyone else lived at theirs. They wanted to split my portfolio fairly. I taught them what fair actually means.